G'day, bird nerds. Saturday morning. I'm Grant. I'm a bird nerd. This is my co-host Loz, who is uh, very eager to join in, having just had a bath. Uh, so, welcome. Talking gardening today. I did have up just before what I would like to talk about today, apart from going over a lot of Glenn Smith's photos and the approach he's taken in his yard. Hello, Glenn, by the way. We just got a Facebook thumbs up from Glenn, who is at the Mount Annan Botanic Gardens today doing his thing. So thanks so much for all the photos, Glenn. They're really good. And if you were checking out yesterday's Photography Friday, we learned a lot about Glenn and his photos. Oh, look at that. Look at that. There's nothing better than having a bird sitting on your head while you're trying to be serious. Anyway, what I did want to ask you to comment on while we're going through Glenn's photos and talking about some of these challenges that come up when you're creating a habitat garden. Have you got a problem spot, a particular challenge in your location, in your habitat garden, and are you coming up with against any roadblocks that are stopping you making progress, getting going? They can be anything, you know. Let's just find some things to talk about. Oh, Loz, don't do that, please. Please don't do that. Go. You should be on your playpen. I'm going to have to get some gaffer tape, I feel, to look after my headphones there. All right. Cool. Okay. Let's have a look at some of comments. Here we are. G'day from the gardens from Glenn, in amongst the bellbirds. And look, let's see if Loz wants his rope. Okay, Loz has gone over onto his playpen. Fantastic. I'm just waiting for him to discover that he can fly up and sit on the curtain rail. But while he's got food, I think he'll be more than happy to be over there. In amongst the bell miners, that a lovely tinkling sound. But bell miners have their issues as well. Let's see, and I'll do the hellos. Hello to Facebook. We did have an issue with Facebook apparently. At first stream wouldn't go live. Made another one. You've found me. That's great. Hello to X, Twitter. You can join in too, Twitterers. You can put comments in and we can see them and respond to them. And YouTube. Well, it looks like YouTube's disappeared again. Okay, we'll just wait and see what's happening there. Not reporting any faults, but we'll just see. The world of streaming. All right, let's have a look at some photos. No particular order, but Glenn's got a sloping site and it's got some interesting treatments. And I deliberately didn't look at these until I was uploading them because I didn't want to sort of come up with a whole lot of thoughts other than just my first impressions. And Glenn has done so many of the right things. So probably working in one of the best botanic gardens in the country would give you some ideas from a design perspective. Excuse me, it's a Saturday morning, we're relaxing. Very nice. Okay, first up. Now, when you've got a spot that can be quite shady, take advantage of it. And you'll recognise where this is when we go through some more of the spots. But Glenn's got some existing canopy and overhang. And judging from the leaves in front of me, I'm guessing that is a Callistemon viminalis Dawson River weeper, which is providing that shade. And as you look down the informal path to an informal creek bed, if you've got a shady spot, make it really shady, make it really dense, make that a thicket for little birds to use. and using shrubs, fill-in shrubs along the fence line creates another area for those little birds to use. Uh, Naomi, I don't know how many square metres the block is. Glenn, if he's listening and not doing a tour or something at the moment, may be able to answer that one for us. If he does, I will pop it up in the comments. Thanks for the Facebook like too, Naomi. So we'll whiz through because there's quite a lot, and we'll talk about the things that leap out to me. I'll talk about another structural element in this when we get to a different photo. Okay. Being in Sydney, you have the opportunity to get rocks at a much more affordable price than many other locations are able to get. And of course, you can use those as a way to build up levels. And when you build up levels, you can create movement in the garden with foliage, with plant material. But Glenn has also created movement with the angle of the rocks, or with the slope of the rocks and how they've been placed. This also allows you to create nooks and crannies where, if you want to grow special plants that require a different soil type, you can use these as little pockets. I don't think Glenn's done that here, but also this is facing down, and you can see in the foreground on the left-hand side, there's the pig face, or the moonflower there, which is acting as a ground cover. So that's a nice choice of plant for that location. And Glenn's got some great ground covers in here. Now let's see, comments are coming in. Let's have a look. Okay, over 800 square metre block, so reasonable size, hey? And Waratahs and Banksias in that pocket. Okay, so that they're both Proteaceae plants, and Glenn's got a nice thing, which, Glenn, thank you for bringing that up. I was going to reference that in another slide, but I'll talk about ground covers and erosion control in a moment. But back to this comment in here. I can see a Waratah just to the left of the kangaroo paw flower, and there's a Banksia on the left that the Waratah is on the right, just in front of the red kangaroo paw flowers, and there's a Banksia there which looks like it might be a serrata on the left near the junction of the two rocks. That pocket for those Banksias, Grevilleas, are Proteaceae plants. They have a very specific requirement in terms of the fertilizer regime and the soil that they like to sit in. So that isolates it, which means that you can grow somewhere else. You can grow somewhere else, maybe some of the Rutaceae, Baronias, or Eriostemens, Fabaliums, things like that, Laciopetalum, things that you can fertilise a bit, with something like the fish emulsion stuff, Charlie Carp or something, to give them a boost, but not be harming your Proteaceae plants. Okay, so the Waratah is you've got Shady Lady and the red and white Shady Lady, so selections, and the Waratah is the Serrata. I might just note, if anyone's taking notes, if you're looking for Serrata, Serrata, Banksia serrata. Naomi says, was the block bare or grassed or have other plants on it when you started? Did you get the soil brought in? Okay, well, I'll let Glenn answer those questions because I don't know. I Getting soil brought in, that is something that is, if if you can, all right, actually, I'll take a step back. If you're starting from scratch, you need to, hello, Loz, thanks for that. You need to do some soil tests and really do a site analysis for yourself about whether you've got fill that has already been bought in. Do some pH tests if in different areas, but on a site plan, you don't need to have you need to have your house and your services where your drainage, sewerage, power line, any underground services, etc., that come in. Also, if you've got anything going above, make note of those on a preliminary site plan. But in different spots around, is there a wet spot? Is there a hard spot? Is there a really dry spot? No matter if you put water on it, it stays dry. Make a note of all those kind of things and test the soil with you just get a little pH kit, go down to the nursery, Bunnings have got them, and just make a note of what your soil pH is, because that will affect, well, one, if you're going to apply fertiliser, but also if you want to bring soil in. But let's go back. If you have really poor quality fill that has been bought in to shape your block, if it's a new, particularly if it's a fairly new estate, it's imperative that you get an idea of what your soil is. Is it loamy? Is it clayey? And what are your pH levels? Now, here's Glenn's answer for Naomi. The block had an in-ground pool on the lower level. The top had lawn. The ground was mainly clay. I bought in 32 cubic metres of native garden mix. Rivers and blend. Took 8 days for 2 of us to wheelbarrow the soil in. That's a hell of a job, isn't it? Moving it in from the front to the back. That is a big job. 32 cubic metres, so that's about 3 trucks, right to the brim, truck and trailer, and another truck. I don't know. Do they do 2 trailer loads up there? You've got Native Landscape Suppliers up there in Sydney, which is a really good company for those mixes. So I never answer this question of Naomi's, like, do you bring soil in, until I've got an idea of what's already there. And sometimes you can get by without needing to bring soil in. If you are going to do things like build a pond, well, then you've got a whole lot of soil from one area that you can take to another to lift up a level. And bear in mind that if you're buying a soilless mix from a landscape supplies company, it's not being dug out of the earth somewhere, so that's something to consider. But a lot of these options for fill and everything have come from somewhere else that may have some kind of issue with it too. So my general thought is, if you don't need to buy anything in, don't. And then if you do buy something in, try and only buy in enough for a little bit of topsoil. Don't buy in really expensive mix to fill, to raise a garden bed 60 centimetres, because in most cases, in a lot of cases, the mixes that you buy will settle down and you'll need to buy something else anyway. But there's another trick I want to talk about with that in a minute, and we'll get onto here. Glenn also said rivers and blend 2 truckloads worth of soil and a layer of 20 centimetres of new soil over the yard. Okay. Native garden soil with river sand mix. Yep. Okay. But do bear in mind that whenever you're buying in things that have got pebbles and rocks, they're coming out of somewhere else, and often they're not coming from anywhere that is environmentally friendly. So there have been some real problems with a lot of these companies that aren't really upfront about where stuff is coming from. In Victoria too, especially if you're buying that red mountain soil mix, a lot of that is coming from supposedly logging coops and stuff that are not being managed legally. There's some profiteering and stuff that goes on. Now, here we go. Naomi says A&L is the company I use for soil. Yeah, they're really good. A&L they've sort of expanded down here, but there's a lot of local. I mean, most places have reputable sand and soil and other landscape suppliers, companies that are really reputable. You can go to the Landscape Association in your state and have a... Hello, Loz is checking me right out. Hello, mate. And anyway, selecting a good company, generally you can just read reviews and get... always check the reviews online if you're buying from somewhere like that. Okay, let's get to another picture. I think am I only up to the second one? Okay, let's have a look here. So there's a wider view. You can see 2 boundary fences and the backyard area, but you can see how different surfaces create interest even before there's mature plants, and you can make a lot of opportunities for highlights. Just look at the little nook created by the paving that is before and in front of the veranda. There's a bowl in this little pocket, little garden bed. Just trying to think, can we see the other ones? I can't see the other ones at the moment. But different types of paving create different areas. You've got a beautiful big patch here against this garden, this fence on the left-hand side to work with too. Look at the ground covers and the small shrubs. Lots and lots of opportunity to fill spaces too. I mean, it's great. There are mature trees that you can use for privacy, but also windbreak. You can see, I'm assuming, Glenn, you'll be able to tell me if you're still listening, that you have, because it looks like, I don't know, is that a Solanum aviculare towards the corner of the fences? Looks like that might be full sun for part of the day and dappled shade for a good part of the day based on your plant selection. I think you've got the eucalyptus or Corymbia ficifolia in there as well, so that's going to bulk up and fill that pocket. Really nice plant selection. You've got a column behind your pergola structure, so that creates nice sight lines as well. There's lots of little design elements here that are pretty cool. Glenn, did you design all this yourself? Let us know. Glenn tells us there used to be large pine trees against the fence on the left. Okay, so I'm guessing they probably got a fungal disease, so they're gone. it's a good idea in an area like that you do leave it fallow for a while, let it renew. That would be a really good area to be putting your garden compost and heavily mulching, so that the microflora in the soil can actually take care of any disease that might be in residing in that pocket. If you've had disease there, your basic rule is no conifers. Don't put any conifers in there. You put flowering plants in there as a basic starting point. Okay, next one. Let's whiz through. Now, this again is really highlighting how you can just create little pockets. That is, again, you've got a waratah in there. See the coria on the front right-hand side. You've got the pig face again in the middle on the right. Glenn obviously likes his kangaroo paws. Looks like there might be, is that a Banksia spinulosa maybe in there? Looks like an acacia here on the left. But there's lots of texture with the foliage selections. Nicely densely planted there. I like that a lot. And when you're using rocks, because you've got little spaces for all the joints, that's where you can jam in a small little ground cover or a very small 30 or 60 centimetre high shrub, and corias are fantastic for that. Ostromertus dulcis, which we've talked about a number of times. Left is a hakea. Oh, okay. So is that hakea just actually? That's nice. Above where Glenn's comment is. So that's a hakea there. So salicifolia or lorena, I'm going to guess. Looks maybe a bit like salicifolia, the willow-leafed hakea, in that spot. And Glenn commented, no pines there. Wattles, native raspberry. Native raspberry. Native raspberry is that. So you've got the pink selection, grafted selection for the red flowering gum. I'm guessing there, Glenn. Another shot. Let's whiz through some. There we go. There's no water, but there is a water bed, a dry creek bed there. You'll have to tell me. I can't tell from the shot there, Glenn. But another. Is that a callistemon you've got there? Maybe. Reminds me of white Anzac. Now have a look at how the pig face on the left is softening the look of those rocks, and then you've got a tuft popping in the crevice there that's going to poke through. So you can achieve really lifelike, realistic, bush looks just by mixing up your foliage types. And the difference in levels creates the movement with a ground cover. So you can get the kind of feeling that you want from moving water without using moving water, simply by using plants that over time will move. And the pig flower, I'll have to look it up actually. Let me have a look. My memory's not as good as it used to be. We'll get to it later. Loz gets interested in anything that I pick up. The other thing here I'd like you to notice, see how we've got a dead upright tree that has been left there. Now, we know birds like to use things like that as lookouts, and Glenn's also utilised fallen timber as features. And if you leave them on the ground, they then catch soil and stop erosion or reduce erosion. And there's a nice fall away. And if you follow the dry creek bed down, there's then another Glenn's used timber to direct your eye back to the right and down the bottom there. I think that's looks like the ground cover Eremophila, the grey foliage there in. It's the top left of the picture, but it's actually the base of the slope. You like your red kangaroo paws too, don't you, Glenn? Here we go. There we are. So grafted pink and red. Dry creek bed for lizards. Another Banksia at the bottom. Yeah, I can see that down there. Lamandra. Lamandra is the tufting one for seeds. Yeah, I can tell Glenn's walking around and using his thumb on his phone, aren't you, Glenn? So no one's judging the consonant and vowel usage today. Glenn, question about your kangaroo paws, and just answer this when you've got time. Did you select the species? Like, have you got kangaroo paw rufa, and is the green the viridis, or have you got the selections from the improved, from the bush gems range and things like that? Lots of good kangaroo paws. I'm going to do a show particularly on kangaroo paws, and hopefully we'll have one of the breeders and on to talk about that. Okay, let's keep moving on. How easy is it to create structure that looks interesting? Now, because of the fall of the slope, I'm pretty sure Glenn had landscapers in and had to get engineering certification for those retaining walls and the steps because of the angle and the depth of the fall. But look how easy it is to create bridges using a couple of sleepers. Right? And whether you've got water or not, bridges are a great thing to pop in. And I think I can see another bowl there, water. Fallen timber again, driftwood, deadwood, creating interest. Before you've got mature trees and trunks to look at, you've still got upright form to create. It delineates the spaces as much as the rocks and the paths do. And you need to train your eyes like that. And Glenn has used, I'm guessing, as leptospermum branches and trunks, because it's got that lovely smooth bendy character. But again, they're like a little garden bed border, and helps you again think about grouping plants and what you can achieve in fairly small spaces. Like, that's only about a metre and a half. Yeah, very nice, Glenn. Very nice. Okay, kangaroo paws mainly from the bush gems range. Okay, so that big tall one, I think, what was that called? Big Red. Big Red, the smaller one, Bush Ranger, the red ones. Okay, number 8. What do we got? There we go. Another view of the back boundary fence. Look at the foliage types that create interest, and look at you've got that dense shade spot. Oh, Loz, there's a blue light on the microphone here. Loz is very interested in that, aren't you? Oh, and the butterfly knob. yeah, the main thing I want you to look at here is again how the fallen timber has been used and foliage type creates most of the interest in that particular spot. Um, Here we go. Come on. Oh, there we go. Is that the same one? Yeah, it is. I'll put that in twice. There we go. Again, another closer look at foliage types. You can introduce ferns into into an area, shiny, reflective foliage as well. Uh, that's really nice. That's that's really nice, and the illusion that there is a header for the watercourse. Um, the timber is recycled from a deck by the pool. Yeah, the walls needed council approval and certification. I only wanted to make that comment in that uh, don't go doing excavations and thinking that a couple of sleepers, that you can get 3 or 4 sleepers high from the landscape suppliers and do things like that. No, make sure you check what is required, how high you can build a retaining wall without certification. I think once you get about 2 sleepers or 3 sleepers at the absolute outside, you need to be thinking about getting some advice about structural integrity and erosion and drainage and runoff, because whatever you do on your block that affects your neighbours is something you need to think about too. You don't want to get a lawsuit for something that your runoff has caused when you've altered the contour of your block. So be really careful about that. So let's see what most of the branches are from bottle brushes. Okay, that's really nice. Landscapers were used for the pool removal. Yeah, you've got to get that. You've got to get that right. Coming up here, Loz, or you want to go over there? Over there. Go on. Large rock positions. We've done the rest ourselves. Most of the branches are from bottle brushes. Okay. Let's run through. Glenn's provided some more commentary. The area is more shady. Firewheel trees, which is Stenocarpus sinuatus. That's a dense forest plant. They live in the forests of East Gippsland and up the east coast, so that's a really good spot for those. And they will become big too, so they will provide structure that you can build around later on, because your gardens are always changing as your plants mature. Birds' nests are going in there, good. And later on, once the firewheels grow up, providing shade. And the walls were designed by structural engineers. Yep, there we go. And using those key locking or locking retaining wall bricks, so really handy. Like the ferns and the jacarandas together. I'm not sure that's actually a jacaranda. It looks like a jacaranda. It's got that same bipinnate kind of foliage, but Glenn will tell us what that is. But I'm pretty sure that's actually not a jacaranda, but it has the same structural use in a garden setting as the jacaranda. So that's really cool. Okay, cool. That is a jacaranda. That's a jacaranda we're looking at in this shot here, is it, Glenn? At the draping foliage at the top. We'll get in there. Looks nice and pointy for me, but it's cool. What did Glenn say? Yes, that is a jacaranda. Well, there you go. I must confess, I have never planted a jacaranda. Never, ever. Okay, there's a good way for permanent water. That's the main thing I wanted to show here. But also, Look at all these little nooks and crannies and little opportunities for planting and a lovely dense ground cover. You've got your tufting plants in there, a, a low shrub for the little birds, um, opportunities with basking. Glenn mentioned about the lizards. Look at all the spots for lizards to bask. Yeah, I mean, you could have skinks and blue tongues and all sorts of things coming in there and basking, and they've all got their own little spot. Also, when you introduce fallen timber, that gives you lots of opportunity for insects to find, and um, uh, all the all the other creepy crawlies to find somewhere to live. Um, Glenn's used a really good tip with the bowl, even though that water bowl is quite deep, and you do want them to be quite deep to minimise evaporation. But Glenn's filled the bottom with pebbles and rocks. Now that does a number of things. It gives opportunities for things like what am I thinking? Algae to grow. It provides hiding spots for insects and tadpoles, etc. But the important thing is lots of birds can use that bowl because you have different depths that the birds can bathe in, and that's really really important. So some birds like to be able to land on a platform which is just above the water level. Some birds don't mind their legs getting wet when they're bathing. This guy here likes about, I don't know, what's that, 5-6 centimeters. He loves getting actually right in the water. So yeah, really strong use of upright form too in this shot. What have we got here? So the jacarandas were on the block. And there's another tip. When you're starting, don't remove mature and standing vegetation unless there is a reason to remove it. You can remove it bit by bit as you fill in, but if you've got mature trees providing shade and also providing a buffer from winds, depending on whether your block faces the prevailing winds, that's really important things to think about. 2 water bowls are placed with view angles to the steps. Good. So Glenn can sit on the steps, photograph the birds, have his cuppa in the morning, contemplating life, and photograph the birds on the branches set up as they come down to there. Oh, well, there we go. That's what that arching branch is for. Very good. With an in-ground water source like the blue bowl, should it be cleaned daily? Okay, my thought, I would not be filling that, cleaning that daily. I wouldn't be cleaning it unless you were, maybe if you're getting a lot of parrots in, I might do that. I would just be running a cloth that's dipped in a bleach solution, perhaps around the edge. But and you want to be topping it up to keep the water level fairly stable. That bowl is big enough. Glenn's telling you what he does in a minute. I'll pop that up. But that bowl is big enough and deep enough. I'd probably be putting in some aquatic plants, not planting them in, but putting the pots in and filling the stones around them just to filter the water so that it doesn't get toxic, which it can do if you've got algae growing between the pebbles. But Glenn says that the bowl's a ceramic line for easy cleaning and clean it weekly, top up twice a day. Yeah. So good point there. I would probably be less rigorous with the cleaning, only because I like to give the other critters a chance to grow in there. But yeah, we do need to be considering that there is parrot beak and feather disease out there now. So it's my approach is probably too lax. Now Glenn's telling us that Glenn's designed the garden with his photography in mind. If you don't know about Glenn's photography, go back and have a look at yesterday's live stream called Photography Friday with Glenn Smith, and you'll get to see a lot of Glenn's photography, and we talk a lot about that. So go back to that. So the noisy miners land on the branches, dive into the water, splash. Yeah, so it's deep enough for them to be splashing in. I'm guessing that it's shallow enough for things like fairy wrens to use. So that's great. All right, let's have a look. Let's whiz through. Loz is playing with his playground now, so that's good. So there we go. Just how you can treat a narrow space. I'm not seeing anything growing in that container, Glenn. Maybe you can tell us about that. That ceramic pot. Hard plastic edging there so that you don't get runoff into to spoil the look of the dry creek bed. The sort of slate paving is a nice feature. And a difficult spot, some people will say, against the house there in a narrow bed like that. Native violet Viola heteracea or heteracea, growing really nicely against the house. And is that Actinodium cunninghamii you've got growing in front, or is that a what are they called? The little Brachysema native daisy growing in front that hasn't been pruned. I can't see the detail, but they all work together. Ceramic pot had 2 Waratah seedlings which have just been transplanted. Oh, okay, so that's your growing on pot. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. Give you a suggestion if you haven't thought about it for that pot in that location. Banksia boweri. That's what I'd be popping in there. Paper daisy is now finished. Okay. So Helipterum, the white paper daisy. Is that what you had there? Very nice. Very nice. Racing through, and come on, folks, put your comments in. Tell us your challenges in your gardens. Oh, now here we go. The everlasting daisy on the right. Look, stacking up firewood. What a great idea. Look at see the different points of interest by using the rocks, the lines of sight, left to right, and then the linear from sort of front to back, intersecting with a mature trunk there. How the line of the creek, the dry creek, matches up with the line of the rocks leaning off to the left. I love how the pig face, the native pig face is, or the noonflower is working in your garden, Glenn. That's really good, and that's a really good use of ground covers. And again, erosion control on a slope, terrific stuff. Okay, so white and pink, so they were helichrysum rather than Helipterum, I think. Okay. Next, let's keep rocking. Lovely grevillea there. The grey foliage is a what a Eremophila there. I don't know what the red highlights are above that bark, which I think is from a palm, a shedded palm frond. Would that be right? You'll have to tell me what those red highlights are. Are they little ceramic um, pieces? I don't know. Can obviously see there's some kangaroo paws. You'll see different sizes of kangaroo paw flowers in all different locations there. Glenn's mixed up regular square paving with the irregular granite paving. And again, solid edging to preserve the integrity of the creek. Because if you don't have some solid edging along there, over time they'll merge. So that's really, really good. And what's the grevillea there? Is that something like Dargan Hill or Crosby Morrison? That's a nice one. It's one of the cultivars, I think. Glenn tells us. Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Calbarry carpet, which is really, really reliable. Yes, it's a palm. And they are ceramic mushrooms. Okay. Of course, they're mushrooms. If you don't know, Glenn likes to photograph fungi. For, what was it, Glenn? Shroom Saturday. So you'll be out taking a fungi photograph in the Botanic Gardens sometime today. I would be thinking. So you do, if you didn't listen to Photography Friday yesterday, we nerd out a lot about photography and have had a look at, I don't know, 40 or so of Glenn's shots and heard the story behind all of them. So that was really entertaining. Just on those ceramic mushrooms too, in this shot with Glenn, you can use all kinds of little things to create interest in the garden. Banksia cones, gum nuts, little tiles. If you're a Doctor Who nut, you can put all sorts of little things into a garden to create interest. Little pieces of ceramics, little terracotta huts. You can places for insects to get into. I would just encourage you to be really inclusive in your garden. The great thing is if you put something in and it doesn't work, you can take it out. And Glenn, I'm sure Glenn will have to get back on the grevillea. Yeah. The point with that grevillea is that there are literally dozens and dozens of similar types of grevilleas that fill this kind of role. That's a small mounding shrub. You can see there's even a bit of movement in the way the branches grow out and then start to curve down. There's some good grevilleas coming up too we're going to have a look at. Okay, kangaroo paws, creating the drama with the foliage, and I'm thinking that's bush. That's not ranger. That's the taller one, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You can find a kangaroo paw to fit any spot. Again, we've got some acacias filling in spaces there. Very nice. You'll see the ground cover breaking up the stone, the pebble garden bed there. That's nice, isn't it? Compost bin in the background, fantastic. Glenn says the palm house hold water after rain. Yeah, a temporary water reservoir, really good. And all that is finding wherever someone's been, when they're pruning their palm and they're pulling down the old fronds. If you're walking past and someone's pruning, ask them if they can cut off that that last bit that wraps around the trunk and take it home. They're also really good if you tip them upside down and you gently bury them. They provide another hidey hole for all sorts of creatures. Uh, so yeah, Big Red. Okay, Big Red and Landscapers Gold. Yeah, I did like the Bush Gold. That's a nice one too. Anyway, we'll bang on about kangaroo paws in another episode. Okay, we're getting down to this is showing again another range in the variation of the types of ground covers you can use. Now that grevillea, looking a lot like Perinda Royal Mantle, there, I would say, really reliable grevillea as a ground cover, and that's going to run back to the path and beyond, and it's going to fill any little spaces it can. You've got Viola heteracea on the left. You've got the pig face there, sort of at where the I'm assuming that's a hose running through the blue hose there. So you've got lots of ground covers, but lots of different texture, and they're all growing at different rates too. So that grevillea, the ground cover grevillea there, that's sort of at the centre to the right of the shot, really fast growing, deep maroon red toothbrush flowers, and you'll actually get the honey eaters coming down and feeding on the ground. Okay, Instagram has gone. Thanks, Instagram. They only get an hour on Instagram. So sorry about that. Yeah. Now I think it's probably Glenn commenting. Yes, that's the hose. All right. And look, here we go. Look how rapidly the plants can fill out. That's great growth on the native violet in 6 months. Terrific stuff. Okay. And coming up again, 15. Now, you can see in this shot, the pink flowering gum flowering. But what I really wanted to point out here, again, looking at the way the ground covers can soften the hard edges in your landscape. But look at the highlights that you get in the garden just from the new growth of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plants that I can pick out there with new growth that is a slightly different tone to the mature foliage, and that just provides interest over the year, apart from buds and apart from flowers and apart from seed capsules. Really cool. Oh, I wish I had the other camera set up. Loz is giving part of his bird gym a real workout. Yeah, he's worked out how to engineer it in the way he would like. Okay, next, and again, formal lines, informal lines, the use of geometry. You've got half circles, 2 half circles in the way the rocks have been placed. You've got corners. You've got straight lines leading your eye one way, and if you're standing in another part of the garden, your eye will be drawn either along the creek bed or along the path. Very nice work, Glenn. Very nice work, and also the placement of the upright kangaroo paws, and then you've got a spreading. I think that's the pig face again. I'd encourage you to get a couple of myoporums into here as well. Very nice. Another comment. Is it Glenn? Oh, it's Glenn again. Birdsong Banksia. Paperbark Melaleuca. So if it's the small one, Melaleuca. Oh, sorry. If it's the big one, the snow in summer, Melaleuca stifloides, I think. Is that right? Birdsong Banksia. That's not a common name, I know, but don't know the common name Birdsong Banksia. Um, but you would be well served looking at Banksia spinulosa, some of the dwarf cultivars like honeypots and birthday candles and things like that. You've got lots of little spaces that they could fit, and nice little pockets. And we got one more to show off. Another view of a flowering gum there, acacia in the forehand on the right hand side. Looks like the coastal wattle, which is what Acacia cephore. You can see the cascading foliage in the mature trees. Again, upright red flowers from the kangaroo paws. Do you see how the garden leads down to the dark patch in the back? So, down to the enchanted dark forest. It's really nice, really nice. And I think, is that the solanum, the kangaroo apple, on the left-hand side of the flowering gum? It certainly looks like one of those, but I'm not sure. Oh, Loz is really going now. Good. More comments. Okay, 2 sets of birthday candles. Sydney Sunshine Wattle. Not a common name, I know, but excellent. Looks functionally the same with the... There we are. Excellent. Naomi, practical question. Was wondering where you hang clothes out. Now, I thought I saw, I'll try and find it. I think I saw where the clothes might have been hung out. I asked because I removed my Hills hoist because the Angophora bled on clothing. I think placements of clotheslines is tricky. And Glenn's just correcting me. That's a wattle on the left that I'm looking at. Okay. Naomi, I think the lean-to clotheslines are fantastic if you can find a spot that will go against your against the house, or against if you've got a carport or something. Services area. Let's see if we can find it in any of the shots that Glenn's given us. No. I would be thinking perhaps where Glenn is standing and taking this shot, I'm thinking the clothesline might be somewhere around there, perhaps off to the right on that photograph. Let's keep looking. I can't see it there. Oh, well, I think that was where you were standing, where we're looking towards there. So perhaps the clothesline is up behind your... That's a slatted fence, is it? Right at the top, just to the right of those steps, Glenn? Perhaps it's in behind there. Let's keep having a look. We can't see it in any of these shots. So I'm thinking it might be up where the ramp leads to, up behind there. Let's see if we can't get any other hints. No hints here. It's a good question, Naomi. Now I can see there's some comments there I haven't got to. My guess is from here, I think the clothesline is sort of to the right and behind where Glenn is in that section of the block. Okay, let's see what Glenn tells us. No clothesline in the yard. The pine tree took that out when it fell. Oh, okay. So the clothes are hung. Do you just do them on your clothes horse inside, Glenn? That's our winter strategy here. A lean-to, but hard for sheets. Yeah, sheets you have to pick the day, really, don't you? Like I fold them over double, and it has to be a day with sunshine and breeze, or else they don't get done. But one of the practical things you have to think about when you are designing your garden. Fantastic. So that's we're just into discussion now, because that's all of our photos, and we're just going to have discussion and questions if you've got any. While I drink my probably cold coffee again. And let's throw around. Yeah. All right, there we are. Inside on a clothes horse. Yeah, that's my whole. I mean, half of the year. That's the strategy here for everything, which means you're only washing on a day when you know the heater will be going on at some stage, maybe in the evening, and that's when you dry your big and thick items such as jeans and heavy wind cheaters and stuff like that. Boy, I tried to do something about my beetroot colour today too, and I haven't managed to sort it out. But we will. I might spend the afternoon doing that. G'day, Loz. How you going? Oh, you gonna do this? He makes like a cocky noise, and I've been kissing at him, and now did you hear his whistle? Now, when he wants to come in and spend some time inside, he is out there kissing, getting me to come out because I always go. So he's out there doing that. Very, 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 very good. Okay, folks. Let's see. You must have some challenges, some problem areas or something. And look, we've got people on X and YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. Surely someone's got a gardening problem or a challenge that they would like to talk about. Naomi's volunteered hers. Where do you hang your clothes out? That's always a good one. Naomi says she's impressed by the garden. Really like the fact that the trees were there. Yep. I mean, look, you know, if you've been listening to any of the Monday discussions that we've been having with Holly and other people over time, one of the biggest problems in our suburbs now is that when people are buying homes, the first thing they're doing is removing mature trees. My thought, someone who has designed gardens and maintained gardens and wants to promote wildlife-friendly gardens, you need a reason to take a mature tree out, and even mature shrubs. You need a reason to take them out. Don't just take them out because you think that's what you got to do. And don't listen to any contractor who tells you they'll come in and take everything out. Might be easier for them running a dingo or a bobcat around to do it, but that's the wrong way to go about it. Absolutely the wrong way to go about it, in my view. Often you'll get the best result by doing the least amount of sculpting your block. And a lot of people do it before really even analysing what the fall is, what their rate of fall is. From the front of the block to the back of the block, from the front of the block to the front of the house, from the back of the house to the back of the block. And then you've got all those opportunities to create levels where you don't need to do a lot if you do it the way Glenn has done it, using things like rocks rather than retaining walls and fallen timbers. You can build them up. rather than having to do major excavation and creating retaining walls. And I must admit, when I was working in irrigation and landscape and not approaching things with wildlife in mind, my first solutions always were to digging out and filling and creating walls. But my view as a horticulturist and plant person, uh, foremost, I'm a plant person rather than a landscaper in my thinking, is that the least you do is the best you do. So there we are. I concur, Glenn. Thanks so much for actually thinking about sending the photos to me. Glenn sent me all these before we'd even sorted out what we were going to do for Photography Friday. So I invite any of you, if you are happy to share your garden, let's do it. You know, I'm more than happy to talk about your garden. And everybody's got little issues and different ways they've approached things that give other people ideas. Here's a nice. I can imagine Glenn typing away on his thumbs getting this one in. The landscaper who removed the pool wanted to remove all the trees. They always want to do landscapers, and if they've got machinery, they want to get rid of everything. They always want to do that. We told them no, had a few discussions, and we went out. Great. They were back the other day, were impressed by how it looks now, and they said they really didn't understand what my vision was when they didn't understand why I wanted all the stick piles. Now they understand. They were impressed. They'll go away with a totally different view when they look at blocks now. When they look at a site that they're being asked to do some work in, they will see it in a different way now, Glenn. So that's a battle won, I think. Still in the growth stage, so should still will look better as things fill out. Yeah, absolutely. As you get more plant material maturing in there and filling in the gaps, that'll be great. And then you'll see all the other natural gaps where you can select more plants to put in. Bearing in mind that plants are hella expensive now, so often you can't do everything as fast as you want. Oh, look at that. Loz has gone to bed. Good on you. This is what he does. Manic, eats like crazy, manic, has a nap, and then he'll get manic again. Naomi says, I have retaining walls and I'm in a bit of a quandary as my golden trumpet has gone a bit wild. I'll give you a hint, Naomi, for this. It's habitat for variegated and superb fairy wrens, red-brown finches, thornbills, spinebills. I'm not sure. Okay. If you want to thin it out and you're feeling like it's going too wild, actually, let me just look it up because I never know when we're talking common names exactly what we're talking about. So let me just have a look and I'll tell you. Golden trumpet. Oh, okay. Alamandra cathartica. Let me just make sure we're talking about the same thing, Naomi. I'll just share this screen. Are we talking about the same thing, Naomi? Just let me know, and I'm going to tell you my my thoughts for that. So I'll just wait for your I'll just wait for that before I go on with my thought. I think that's great that plant is providing habitat for those native birds too. Obviously, they like the density, the shelter that it provides. We'll just keep waiting for Naomi. There we are. The barter system. Glenn says the native nursery used a lot of my images in their calendar, so they helped me. They gave me $900 worth of native plants of my choice. Bartering. Fantastic. If you have a skill, be prepared to trade it. I think that is great. Okay, let's try orange trumpet. Orange trumpet. Let's have a look. Orange trumpet creeper, Pyrostega. I think we talked about this once before, didn't we? Oh, look, here's Burke's backyard. Have got a picture of it there, along with well, there we are. Well-known women hassler Don Burke in that photo. But is that the one, Naomi? I'll just go back one, and we'll look at here we are. There we are. Does that look? Is that what we're talking about, Naomi? Pyrostega there. We'll just wait for. Okay, looks right. Okay, now I'll just come to one of these shots. So, okay, so you can see how dense it is, and it's going crazy. They can handle a hard prune. There's a couple of really good images here, like so. Okay, so that should give everyone an idea of what we're dealing with. Okay, how I would approach it so that you have minimal disturbance, but you're also doing good maintenance for the plant. Two approaches to pruning. One, if the ends of those branches are going in places you don't want, prune back to where you want to restrain it to. So that's the first thing. So there's two approaches. From the end back, restrain the length, the distance. And then if you want to reduce the bulk of it, they do handle a hard prune, but the birds were still going to want to use it. So take between 25% and a third of the bulk of it out, and do that from inside, like really within the plant, and outside. So you can, you've got your cascading shoots, and then you take maybe every fourth one or every third one out. So you reduce the bulk. You can reduce the length of those shoots, but you're not really removing the habitat, the actual structure of the plant that those birds use. And you can do that pretty regularly, probably twice a year, to keep it back. It'll also keep the plant vigorous. I don't know a lot about the best way to prune them to encourage flowering, but they do look like, let me have a look. They certainly look like I'll just see what the sort of tropical tree gurus say. Okay, consistent pruning is beneficial throughout the growing season. Now that looks like it's a that's the Northern Hemisphere result, but prune it early in spring, almost to ground level, leaving just a few buds. Trumpet vine. I'm just looking for anyone Australian. Okay. The only Australian tip that I can see from people who are maintaining it is to prune it after the bulk of the flowering is done. But it's a plant that you can prune as hard as you want. In the northern hemisphere, from what I can tell, is where people are growing it. They prune it almost back to ground level, the same way that people prune hydrangeas. So yeah, Naomi says it's pretty vigorous. It's absolutely very vigorous. So yeah, keep just bring it back to where you want it in terms of containing its spread, and then you can reduce its density if you want. Yeah, thanks, Loz. Yeah, very good, very good. Okay, folks. Anything else you want to bring up? See, we have a bit of a discussion. We solve a problem. I thought there'd be more problems. I thought people would have more problems in their gardens. Let me plug a few things. Monday with me at midday, Jacinta Humphrey is joining me to talk about her most recent paper, which is very much on urban birds. That has been interesting reading, I've got to say. So yeah, we're talking urban birds, and coming up, we're only 4 days away from Valentine's Day. Gee, I need to promote this. Share this idea please, if you would like to, on Valentine's Day. And I don't know what time I'm going to do it, but it might end up being a long stream. I think might have some fun on Valentine's Day. What's the bird you love? Tell me that. Naomi's already sent me hers. The Bird Emergency. You can send to me, grant@thebirdemergency.com. Send me a picture, or just send me a story, or just send me a couple of birds that you want to nominate about the bird that you love, your bird Valentine. And we will just find a reason to have something to talk about on Valentine's Day, apart from buying flowers and stuff. Cool. Okay. I'm just going to wait another minute or two. While we're waiting, I'll put some music on. I better turn it down or it'll be too loud. We go back to feeding the ducks while we're waiting. There we are. Another comment. Let's see. Naomi wanted to send many more birds. Well, you can if you want. You can. I mean, sometimes we have. Think about it. Maybe you've got a favourite in your family. You've got a favourite when you're going out. Just think about food. You've always got different favourites depending on the situation. I'm free. I just want something to talk about on Valentine's Day. So I can tell you, I have not limited myself to one, Naomi. So there we are. You can nominate as many as you want. You just have to tell me why. I might tell you too. We've got some. Had a couple of breakthroughs with Loz. There we are. See, he'll now let me pat his head and scratch him, whereas he used to run away from the finger. So we're getting there. Of course, Loz is my current Valentine when it comes to birds. I'm not really sure of what our relationship is yet, having not had him, her, it DNA tested yet, but there we are. Yeah, I agree, Loz. And cables are amazing, aren't they? They're very interesting. Loves the headphone cables. There we are. Look, he's giving me a bit of a cuddle, but he doesn't even know he's doing it. Oh, look at that. And there's me being sexualising him as denoting was a male. All right, Glenn's done. Glenn's going off to get his mushroom for Shroom Saturday. I can recommend the discussion that we started off with yesterday in Photography Friday about how Glenn lights his mushrooms. Actually, can I get over to, I think here. Can I go? I can get here. And we started talking about how Glenn achieves things like that with his mushrooms and things like that. So yeah, let's just encourage you to check out Photography Friday, because we did a lot of talking about birds and photographs. Oh, let's have a look at look at this unusual photo that Glenn showed us yesterday. There we go. If that doesn't encourage you to head off to the YouTube page and find yesterday's live stream, nothing will. Will you DNA test or leave it a mystery? Naomi, I will do the DNA test because as part of doing the sexing, they test for parrot beak and feather disease. So I really want to know that before I think about getting another bird to keep Loz company. So yeah, that's important thing. So I get the DNA test, but I also get they test for a couple of major problems in avian birds. So there we are. How's that? It's raining up there, is it? It's a stunning day down here in the unceded lands of the Wurundjeri people. Which I always forget. I really have to make that introductory video, don't I? There we go. Let's just pull the music down a bit. Thanks everyone who's been watching on X, on Facebook, on YouTube and Twitch. Great to see you all. Another comment in here. No rain. There we are. Last opportunity. Anyone want to tell me anything about their garden? Loz is really going for this cable. Really loving it. I had a struggle with Loz yesterday. I was trying to eat a bowl of dal, and Loz really wanted it. He really wanted to give it a try. Preferred my yellow split pea dal. Certainly thought that looked more impressive than nectar and blossom pellets. So there we are. All right, folks. Well, that's it. Thanks, everyone in the chat, which I believe was basically Naomi and Glenn. I hope you found it useful. Those of you who were in, look forward to seeing you on Monday. I don't think I'm going to pop in tomorrow. I want to work on the stream, getting the streams looking cool, and I also want to get rid of looking like a beetroot. Naomi has a weed. Okay. Yeah, take a bunch of pics, Naomi. Leaf, flower, seed capsules if possible. Anything like that. If the bark is smooth or rough or all those kind of things, just send me some pics and we'll see what we can work out. Maybe it's not a weed. Maybe it's a magnificent, valuable plant that can be put to some use or has some conservation value. Who knows? Cool. And of course, I'm always happy to receive correspondence as long as it's not stupid. to grant@thebirdemergency.com. Excellent stuff. No, we're not. We won't talk about membership or anything like that. I'll schedule the members show later on and maybe get an email out to you all. Happy gardening. We've been going. It's 11 o'clock. It's almost. Is it too late to go and buy some plants at the nursery, or get your secateurs out and go and do some gardening? I think we'll also do an episode on pruning, hey? Because I see so much bad pruning out there, which is causing problems for the plants. And it also causes problems if you prune a mature plant wrong. You'll often create a structural problem because the plant starts to look awful. Oh, great, Naomi. Naomi's off to mow. I'm off to make some dal and spend some quality time with Loz. Look forward to seeing you all next time on whichever iteration of the Bird Emergency. I'll be back for Habitat Gardening, 9:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time for a little while longer next Saturday. See you, folks.